This is the Construction Leading Edge podcast from ConstructionBusinessAccelerator.com and ConstructionLeadingEdge.com. My name is Todd DeWalt. It's my job to help you, the construction business owner, eliminate chaos and maximize revenue. In this episode, I'm going to play the audio for you from an online training, a webinar that I did on how to systematize your construction business. And I put this training together over the past couple of months because so many people told me, Todd, I need systems and processes. I need systems and processes. I need to wrangle all this chaos. I've got to get things under control. I can't grow my business. I'm on the edge of burnout, all these problems. And it came back to systems. So maybe you've watched some of the videos on Systematize Your Construction Business, maybe not, but this webinar is condensed, put into audio version, so you don't have to watch a video. You can listen to it while you're working, while you're driving, while you're working out, on the lawnmower, whatever you may be doing. But I'm going to play that video for you. And I need to let you know that the Construction Business Accelerator is now open. I just opened the doors in the last 24 hours, and enrollment is now open for the Construction Business Accelerator. If you want to join a group of like-minded construction business owners just like you, who want to have a business that works for them and supports their ideal lifestyle, if that's what you want, if you want a business that supports your ideal lifestyle, gives you more time, more freedom, more money, and actually works for you, then that's what the Construction Business Accelerator is going to do for you. You can go to ConstructionBusinessAccelerator.com/start to get all of the details and grab your spot, because enrollment is closing in a few days or maybe even a few hours, depending on when you're listening to this. August 15th at 11 p.m. sharp Eastern Time, the doors close. It's going to be just like a college class. We all enroll, then we close the doors, and we all go through this content together. So to grab your spot or just to see what you're going to get, go to ConstructionBusinessAccelerator.com/start. You'll get all the details and find out how much of a no-brainer it actually is. When you look at the cost, I'm telling you, every time I look at the cost, I think, Todd, you're giving the farm away, dude. But I'm going to stick to it. So go to ConstructionBusinessAccelerator.com/start. Or if you are not in a position to look up a website and you'd rather text, send me a text to 859-667-2015. Send a text to 859-667-2015. Put 3 letters in there, CBA, if you want details. I'll send you the link that you need. Or if you have any questions about it, put the questions in that text if that's more convenient for you, and I'll get back to you. We can even set up a time to talk if you want to discuss your questions about the Construction Business Accelerator. But go to ConstructionBusinessAccelerator.com/start or send me a text, 859-667-2015, and I'll get the details into your hands. Now, without further ado, here we go. This is the audio from the webinar, Systematize Your Construction Business. Hope this helps you. And we're going to talk about this. You're going to discover a framework for finding the root cause of any problem. I'm going to give you a process that you can use to create systems that actually work, and then we'll roll through the 5 stages of a business to help you see where you're at with your business and then what you got to do to get to the next stage. So if you're trying to grow your business, but you're not getting enough sales to get traction, or you're trying to keep up with the growth and you want to run your business instead of having it run you, so you can work fewer hours, maybe spend more time with your family, or if you're planning to launch your business and you want to avoid what I call extinction level mistakes or avoid some learning curve, then stay with me, because you're going to learn some of the keys that took me several years to figure out, but ultimately allowed me to grow a business to $11 million in revenue, up to 50 employees in about 3 years. I fine-tuned this process. It's working with hundreds of construction business owners from all trades Over the past 20 years, I've worked with companies from little startups all the way up to Fortune 50 companies. I've been running the podcast since 2014, working with construction business owners who've been getting great results. So I decided I needed to provide some more training resources. As I said before we got started, so many people kept telling me I need systems and processes. Here's what a few nice things people have said about the podcast in case you haven't listened to it. Dan said, what I find very helpful is you take all these leadership principles and give the construction industry view on them. Love the podcast. Actually, this is from Toby Jones, who came to my live event, The Advance in Florida. I'm having another event in Lexington, Kentucky in October. People say things like it's changed my life, which is kind of heavy. Helped me define my vision. Chiefy Weefy said, I've been having a reawakening. And I don't take all the credit for this. The podcast is part of the reason I've added another crew. Roy was a member of the Construction Business Accelerator program who had some good things to say about it. So let's jump into this. We're talking about systems and processes, but if you're like most people, what you really want is you want more time, more money, more freedom. Am I right? I mean, does that pretty well summarize what you're looking for? If that resonates with you, then give me a yes or a thumbs up or a hell yes in the chat box. Maybe you're like Matt and Katiana here on the left, who are in Quebec and they do amazing custom woodwork, or Thomas Andrews, who is growing his electrical contracting business in Oklahoma. Maybe you're like Ryan Hammers here on the left, who has a screen enclosure business in Jacksonville and is building his business so it supports his pro surfer lifestyle. Or maybe you're like Brian King on the right, whose business does over $100 million a year. And now he's able to spend a lot of his time speaking, writing, and giving back. So before we dig in, I've got to warn you about something that's critically important, and missing this virtually guarantees that any system or process you come up with will fail. In fact, I'm going to talk about two things tonight that virtually guarantee your system or process will fail. So right now, you may think that you know what your problems are, but the reality is you know what your symptoms are, and you don't really know what your problems are. So just like if you went to the hospital and you had pain in your left arm and your jaw hurt and you were short of breath and they gave you an ice pack and some Tylenol and sent you home, you would probably say, hey, stop treating my symptoms. I'm having a freaking heart attack. Let me see a cardiologist. You need to get to the root cause. And it's the same way in business. If you really want the problem, the pain of your business to go away, you got to get to the root cause. A lot of people are making things worse in their business by treating the symptoms. That's kind of counterintuitive, but you can actually make things worse by treating the symptoms, and we may hit on that here in just a few minutes. So you might have already tried to create systems. Maybe you tried to put some processes in place and it didn't work out. So today I'm going to show you how to do this in a whole new way. Two main things that you need to do that will solve the reasons that your systems haven't worked. Now, maybe you've tried some things already. Maybe you've tried software. Maybe you've tried hiring people. Have any of you tried hiring or buying software or hiring someone to fix your problems unsuccessfully? I've seen this in the past. It just doesn't work. Maybe you missed out on some growth opportunities. Maybe there were projects you couldn't take on, or projects you had to, you just were denied. I talked to one of my business owner buddies not too long ago who said, yeah, we were going to do this big job. And then they came back and said, I don't think you can handle it. And the client said, no, you're not going to have it, because they just weren't big enough. So if that sounds familiar, I get it, but it is possible. All right. One of the reasons I was able to grow that business like I did was because of systems. I put systems in place. And that's why in this video, I'm going to demystify the process of getting to the root cause of your problem. So think about this for a minute. How much is the chaos in your business costing you? There's probably some direct costs, rework, lost productivity. But think about this. How is it affecting your employees? Are they stressed out? Are Are you working more hours to compensate for the lack of systems? What if one of your key people left because of the headaches and stress from all the chaos? I was driving around with a buddy of mine not too long ago who said he was talking to an operations manager from a big home builder, and this operations manager was on the verge of quitting because of how freaking chaotic everything was. So right now it's really hard to find good people, and the chaos in your business could be about to cause you to lose some good people. Not to mention, think about customers. How are your customers doing? What kind of experience are they having? Is the chaos in your business causing them to have the best experience as possible? What about your future growth? Think about it. Just like a city can't expand without the infrastructure in place, streets, water, sewer, electric, telephone, etc. Just like a city can't expand, they can't grow without infrastructure. Your business cannot grow without the systems and infrastructure in place. And here's the reality. Most of the problems in your business, most of the chaos, are due to a systems deficiency, cash flow problems, not enough backlog, high employee turnover, profit fade, projects taking too long, unhappy customers. All of these things can be symptoms of a lack of symptoms of a systems deficiency. So let's talk about how to identify the root cause. So if you want to stop screwing around and treating symptoms, you really want to get to the root cause. And one of the most powerful things that I've come across in my career for doing this is the 5 whys method. I started teaching this framework because I saw so many construction business owners get completely sidetracked while trying to build systems to grow their business. I saw entrepreneurs, people who are trying to start their business, trying to get off the ground, do this. I've seen people trying to move from the field to the office before they knew how to create a system. And if you've been running a business for more than a few years and you aren't able to work on the business because you're stuck working in it, it's often because the right systems aren't in place. How many of you have ever said that? I'm stuck working in the business and I want to be working on it. All right. I've been there. I've been there. So before I outline this 5 whys, you may be wondering, how did you get into all this and how did you figure it all out? Well, I figured it out the hard way. It started when I knew that I had to create a system in order to eliminate chaos that was costing a lot of money and was about to cost us some good employees too. But I wasn't really sure I could do it because, frankly, I was already really busy. I had a pretty full plate and I just didn't have time. And to be honest, I doubted that I could do it because it was a very painful problem. So I thought the solution would have to be really painful too. And on top of that, to be honest, I'd never created a system for a problem like that. So if any of this sounds familiar, let me tell you, I know exactly what it's like. I felt unqualified, poorly equipped, even questioned myself whether I could do it. But I was tired of dealing with the chaos and I decided to do something about it. So let me explain what was going on. Every Tuesday was a nightmare. I'd been brought in to run this company of about 15 employees at the time. Tuesday was payday. Every week was a nightmare. Paychecks were screwed up. Guys were shorted hours, charged to the wrong job. We had guys coming into the office, calling, texting, emailing. Productivity was a mess. Morale was lousy. People were pissed off. You could cut the tension in the office every Tuesday. I got tired of it, so I decided I was going to fix it. Now, that's exactly what I did. And so now I know exactly how to create a system to eliminate chaos. I figured it out the hard way. And when I got on the other side of it, I had the time and freedom to do the strategic stuff instead of putting out the same freaking fire every week. Saved thousands of dollars a month, and eliminated a lot of turmoil and frustration, which was exactly what I was going for. Now, everything I'm going to share with you is the exact plan that I followed to create a system to eliminate Nightmare Tuesday chaos, as well as a lot of the other chaos in the business. It ultimately allowed the business to almost triple in size, or double in size and triple in profits. And it really helped me to be a lot less stressed out when I got home. So more time, more freedom, and I ended up making more money. So let's talk about the 5 whys method. The purpose of it is to help you quickly identify the real root cause of any situation so you can put a system in place. So here we go. The first problem you got to understand is that your problem is you don't know what your problem is. You know what your symptoms are, but you don't know what your problem really is. So let me run through the 5 whys method, and then in a few minutes I'm going to show you what to do once you identify the root cause, how you can put a system in place. So really quickly, the 5 whys method is so ridiculously simple, but also incredibly powerful. So the first step is to list the abnormal condition. What's the symptom? What's screwed up? In my case, Tuesdays were a nightmare. And then the next step is to begin asking the question, why? Why is it a nightmare? Why does this symptom exist? Come up with a reason, and then you would ask, well, why is that? And then come up with a reason and ask, why is that? And continue to ask why until you get to the root cause. So let's run through a quick example. Actually, I talk about productivity quite a bit, but I'm going to skip over to one that's even more of a problem for a lot of people: cash flow crunch. People are constantly telling me they're dealing with cash flow. I've been there. I hated it. I hate being in a position where you have to look at the bank account every day and worry about payroll or bounce a payroll check or two. That sucks. So let's talk about cash flow crunch. Why is there a cash flow crunch? Well, one of the reasons is there's not enough work. Why isn't there enough work? We're not getting enough contracts because we're not bidding enough, because I'm spending too much time in the field, because I suck at delegation. So the root cause of your cash flow problems may not be financial at all. It could be because you suck at delegation, which is making you spend way too much time in the field, which is preventing you from bidding on the projects you need, which is keeping you from getting the contracts you need. You don't have enough work. See how that works? It's a little counterintuitive, but sometimes your most painful problems have seemingly unrelated causes. Another root cause of cash flow is fear of failure. You're not bidding on projects, or you're not doing the things you need to do because you're afraid you're going to fail. You could be on the edge of burnout because you're working 60 plus hours, spending too much time on bids, running bad appointments, spending too much time with tire kickers because you're not qualifying your leads. So what we want to do is get to the root cause and then put a system in place. Then I'm going to tell you what the results that Ryan Hammers got that helped him qualify leads that solved a lot of his problems. So now what? Now that you're clear about how to diagnose the root cause, the big question is, how do you create a system to solve it? Am I right? So let me pause right there. Is this making sense so far? If you could jump in the chat box, give me a thumbs up. Are you seeing how powerful it is to get to the root cause of your problem? Am I making sense before I go any further? Just let me know. Yes, you're tracking, you're smelling what I'm cooking. The next thing, the big question is, how do you create a system to solve it? So hands down, this is one of the most important keys to growth for construction business owners. If you can't create a system that works, then you won't ever own a business that works for you, period. And without this, it means you'll always be stuck working in your business instead of on it. So now let's talk about what you do next. And before we go any further, it's important to talk about something that often gets overlooked as you begin to see this on a practical level. And ignoring this virtually guarantees that you'll have a tough time trying to actually create a system that really works. So it's easy to think that creating systems means you have to write complicated policies and procedures, that you have to start from scratch. And then once you roll it out, you're going to beat your head against the wall and spend all your time enforcing this new system. This is a dangerous assumption to make, and I don't want you falling into this trap. But this big assumption is why so many construction business owners are struggling and avoid putting systems in place, because they think it's all about policies and procedures. So I'm going to tell you what to do if you really want a system that actually works. Let's start with what you don't do. All right. The first thing is don't create it in a vacuum. Don't try to create a system all by yourself without involving the right people, which we'll get to. Don't jump straight to solutions. That's why we talked about the root cause first. Don't jump straight to solutions. Don't think policies and procedures. That's secondary, maybe even unnecessary. And don't overcomplicate. Systems and processes do not have to be complicated. So your job, if you're going to put together systems and processes that actually work, your job is, first of all, to involve the right people. You may be thinking, wait a minute, what people? I am the right people. Not really. You're part of it. Your job is to ask the right questions. Your job is to frame and communicate the right outcome. And your job is to use the right framework. This is a big mistake people make, is operating in a vacuum, going into your cave, going to your office, baking up this policy, procedure, process all by your little self, and then it doesn't work. It's because you're making these mistakes. So your job is to involve the right people, ask the right question, clearly define the right outcome, and use the right framework. One of the simplest and most powerful ways to do this, one of the most powerful frameworks, is the swim lane diagram. So here's what I want you to do. Make a note. I want you to think about this. This is the beauty of this is stuff you can put to work tomorrow. So the first step is identify one process to be mapped out. So let's start with a root cause. Let's find some chaos in your business, whatever that might be, get to the root cause of it. You may want to go through that process a couple of times, come up with a few root causes, and say, this is the one that's going to give me the most bang for my buck. And that's where I would start if I were you, mapping out a process. So it may be good to map out all of your processes. You might be thinking, oh man, I got to do this for everything. But my advice is pick one process and start with one that is causing the most chaos. Step 2 is bring together the right team. Even if you know every little in and out, every little nut and bolt of your business, you'll still want to involve the people who will be carrying out the system. Do not repeat, do not attempt to map out the system or process without the right people. If you create a system all by your little self in a vacuum, it is almost certainly doomed to failure because of these two words: psychological reactance. And it is a proven psychological principle that says humans will purposely refuse to do what someone suggests, even if they know it's the right thing to do anyway. Have you seen this? Think about it. Think about a time when you told somebody or suggested to somebody something that they should do, and they knew they should do it. There's no question that it's the right thing, but they still didn't do it. Has anybody ever seen that? If you've had kids or you have kids, I guarantee you've seen it, but adults are the same way. I read this book written by Dr. Michael Pantalon, and he said, since people respond much better when they act for their own reasons rather than yours, we need to help them discover their reasons as soon as possible. So I'm telling you, if you want to put together a system that everybody will fight, then do it by yourself, okay? But if you want to put together a system that people will actually use and does not require enforcement, then involve them, okay? I'm telling you, I've done this. I tried it the wrong way for years. I finally stumbled onto the right way. It's gold. So that's why it's so crucial to bring together the right team. You want them to hear themselves say what they're going to do. That's key. You want, this is not get them in the room and then you tell them what they're going to do. Your job is to get them in the room, lay out what the objective is, and lead them to say what they're going to do, why it's in their best interest to have a process. See, when it's your plan, they're going to call you when they run into a problem. But when it's their plan, they will run through walls to make it happen. In addition to that, there are also going to be evangelists for the initiative. And you got to realize, in addition to this, change tends to be scary for everyone. And when you create a system, it could be threatening to some people. You never know. People put together this narrative, oh, they're changing things, they're going to downsize, whatever. So involve people who are going to be involve people who will be part of carrying out the process. Also, if you're in a bigger organization, be sure to involve some of the senior management as well, so you can get their buy-in, because whether they're up the food chain or down the food chain, they tend to do the same thing. Fight you if it's not their idea or they're not part of it. So step 3 is clearly define what winning looks like. Once you get the right people in the room, what is the objective? How will you know if you're successful? Be specific, be able to measure it. Some good examples would be if you're wasting too much time in the shop in the morning, a good example of a good objective is winning looks like all crews out of the shop in 15 minutes or less every morning. All time sheets submitted by Monday at 5 p.m. These are thumbs up, thumbs down. Did we do it? Did we not do it? Specific, measurable. That's what you want to start with. And then ask the right question. Here's a common mistake that I made for years, and I finally realized that so many times we ask the wrong question. We ask questions like, why can't you? Or why don't you? Why can't you do this? Why don't you do this? And think about that. Do you really want to know the answer to that question? If you want somebody to change what they're doing or do something different, do you really want to know why they can't? Probably not. Let me give you a better question. What would it take? What would it take? How can we? How can we do this? How might we do this? Ask that question. So clearly define the objective. How can we get everybody out of the shop in 15 minutes every morning? And then use the swim lane diagram. Super simple. My advice is to do this physically so it's visible. And the way this works is there are lanes for the different people or different groups that are going to be responsible for doing stuff. I recommend doing it on a wall, doing it on a table, on a whiteboard or something. Digitally doesn't work all that well, but your job is to ask the question, what would it take to achieve the objective? And then write that down on a Post-it note so you can move it around. And then with the right people around the table, you begin to map out the system of actions or decisions or steps that need to happen in order to accomplish what you want to do. By using Post-it notes, you can easily rearrange these things as you go along. And when you're done and things have been moved around, negotiations have taken place, you go around the room and make sure everybody is bought into it. This is one of the most powerful parts of lean construction, pull planning. This is what this actually looks like. It's based on these fundamental principles. I interviewed Greg Howell, one of the fathers of the lean construction movement, and he talked about the psychological principles behind it, which is asking for commitments instead of giving people orders. So once you have everything down, everybody's bought into it, the final step in the process is document it. Either take a picture of it or you can turn it into something like this. This is a process and responsibility chart, which is something that I share and use inside the Construction Business Accelerator. So you may be wondering, all right, what kind of results can people get when they set up good systems? Jeff is a custom home builder in Ontario who told me he was spending hours a day on his phone responding to texts, calls, emails from customers, subcontractors, and he couldn't get anything done. He had two or three kids, one of whom was a baby, and he was working 60 hours a week, Saturday, Sunday, and here's what he said. Batching communication has given me back 40% of my day. That's about 3 hours a day, 15 hours a week. That allowed him to spend more time selling, finding building lots, going home to spend time with his wife and his newborn daughter. But 40% of his time came back to him just by putting a system in place. More work done, higher value work done. Everybody was happier. He was spending less time. That's what a good system will do for you. Now, a lot of people tell me, Todd, I just don't have time to put a system in place. I don't have time to spend on this. That's dumb. Man, I'll just be blunt with you. That's dumb. That's like saying I'm too sick to take my medicine. If you don't have time to put systems in place, then that means that's exactly the reason you need to put systems in place. You have to look at it from the perspective of an ROTI. That is return on time invested. All right. Here's the deal. Let's say you spend 1 hour a week on something. That means it is worth your time to invest 8 hours building a system. You're like, yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to spend 8 hours. That's crazy talk. Well, think about it this way. You're doing this every week, 52 times a week. You're spending 52 hours a year on this thing. So let's say you invest 8 hours putting a system together that somebody else can run. After the first 8 hours, you start to get a return on time invested. At the end of the first year, you got 44 hours back. Now, if you understand that your time is worth $1,000 an hour, like I teach, you can go listen to episode 79 of my podcast. That means, follow me, if your time is worth $1,000 an hour, that means that system that you spent 8 hours building just made you $44,000 a year because it freed up 44 hours a year for you to go do high value stuff. All right. So I talked about Ryan and qualifying leads. Ryan came to the last advance where we talked about a system for selling. And here's what Ryan said. He said, it's packed full of great ideas that will save you hundreds of working hours. Here's what he said. He sent me this 3 days after the event. He said, two ideas alone have saved me 6 hours this week, not to mention the other 3 sales reps. As a company, we've saved 18 man hours on the sales side. Before coming to the event, I thought we needed 2 more sales reps. After leaving, I realized I didn't, and we were just asking the wrong questions. I've since trained my staff to ask the right questions to make sure our clients are more qualified. So by putting a system in place, Ryan was able to avoid having to hire 2 people. Well, think about that. How much does an employee cost a year? How much would 2 employees cost? That makes systems pretty valuable. So think about this. Just think about this for a minute. What would it be like when you've applied this stuff? Let's say you just put one system in place and you eliminate one area of chaos. Think about the effect it's going to have on your life, the lives of your family, your spouse, your kids, your grandkids if you have them. How will things be different for your customers? How will things be different for your employees? Are they going to have a better experience? Are they going to be more likely to stick around? Very possible. All right, so now we've talked about root cause. We've talked about putting a system in place. Does that make sense? I mean, let's pause for a second. Does it seem realistic that you could use that swim lane diagram and that stuff we just talked about to put a system in place? Jump in the chat box. Let me know. Does that make sense? It's not as complicated as we tend to make it. So now, if you've ever been confused about how all of these different systems fit together, and then what goes into creating success with your systems, then that's what we're going to talk about next. So maybe you're working on the job site every day, wearing all the hats, wearing the tool bags, and you aren't sure how to make the jump into working in the office, or you're in the office, but you're working in more parts of the business than you want, and you want to work on the business. Or maybe you want to start your business, then I'm going to give you a blueprint. I'm going to map out the different stages of the business and show you what the 5 stages are, and then you'll be able to figure out where you're at, what stage you're at, and then what do you really need to focus on in order to get to the next stage. So anytime you are trying to get to the next level, trying to climb up the next level, you run into things like, what should I be focused on at this stage? What got me here is not going to get me to the next level. How do I create time to operate strategically? Maybe you're thinking, man, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. What have other people done to solve this problem? So my advice is to use one of my go-to moves, which is the 80-20 principle. You don't have time to waste, so you want to find the 20% that's going to produce 80% of the results, right? Here's the thing. Not every opportunity is created equally. There are typically 20% of whatever you're dealing with will give you 80% of the results. 80% of your profits come from 20% of your customers. 80% of your problems come from 20% of your people. 80% of your safety incidents come from 20% of your activities. So that's why the success path that I'm going to talk about is going to help you, because it'll really let you focus in on and use the 80-20 principle. So I do need to warn you that once you see the success path, you just want to jump into it. But let me just stay with me. I'm going to show you the 80 for the 20. So let's jump into this. There are a couple of foundational things that often get overlooked, and a lot of problems are symptoms of these foundational things that were not handled, not done right. You can imagine if somebody builds a house on unsuitable material or a bad foundation, you're going to have problems throughout the house. A lot of businesses are the same way. So the first question is, why are you doing all this? Why are you doing all this? What's your vision for the business? Who are the people you want to work with? What are you passionate about? Where do you want to be in a few years? What does your ideal lifestyle look like? This is where I start my clients. One of my first questions is, what does your ideal lifestyle look like? That's why you're in business, to support your lifestyle. The great Jack Welch said this: good business leaders create a vision. They articulate the vision. They passionately own the vision and relentlessly drive it to completion. So it is crucial to have a vision, to have a why. I've said that a lot of problems are symptoms of a why deficiency. People have gotten themselves into a situation that doesn't line up with their why. The next question is, are you going to operate from right to left, or are you going to operate from left to right? If you've heard me talk, you've probably heard me use this analogy or this language about left to right thinking. Let me show you what left to right looks like really quickly and compare that. I'll show you a better way. So left to right, and this is how most construction business owners operate. They start on a project, or they bid on a project. They don't really have a sales plan or strategy. They get started on the project. It's really focused on the start. They do the best they can with what they have, get surprised or blindsided by problems because they're not planning far enough in advance. Not surprisingly, projects get delayed. Then we have cost overruns. We start taking it in the shorts because of high opportunity costs. Then we get to the end of the quarter, into the project, end of the year, and we cross our fingers and say, how did we do? We're not making money. We're not growing. And we're frustrated. We're pissed off. Like, what the hell are we doing all this for? Because we don't find out what the result is. The first time we start thinking about the result is when it's too late to do anything about it. So if that sounds familiar to you, I'm not trying to beat you up, but that is left to right thinking. There is a better way, and I call it operating from right to left, where you start with the result that you want in mind. You work backwards from there. You come up with revenue targets, weekly project crew-based plans that achieve the targets. Your people know what the goals are. You preempt problems. Your team's aligned, focused. Your team's focused on the how because they know what needs to be done. You start with the end in mind, and then you've got a bidding and sales strategy that gets you where you want to be. This is right to left thinking. So think about that. How would life be different to run your business from right to left? Decide on what you want and then make it happen. Here's what Thomas Andrews said after getting into the Construction Business Accelerator and the Revenue Maximizer, which I want to make available to you before we're done here. He said, right to left thinking has created this compound effect. And couple of weeks before Thomas had gotten into this, he was actually interviewing for jobs, and he was going to shut down his business and go work for somebody else because he was so frustrated. But he said, right to left thinking has created this compound effect. I'm starting to enjoy my job. I have hope now. So right to left thinking is huge. One other foundational principle that is ginormous is mindset. And frankly, this is where it all starts. Your company will never, ever grow beyond the point that your mindset will support it. The problem is you. You are probably your biggest problem. Here's what Justin McCullers from Impacting Closures in Jacksonville, Florida said about upgrading his mindset. He came to the advance in Florida. We talked a lot about mindset, and he said one of the biggest takeaways was having a limited mindset and portraying it onto our employees. He started to look at his people in a whole new way. They didn't change, but his mindset toward his people changed. So mindset is huge. All right, so now can you see how mindset and whether you're thinking from right to left or left to right is foundational to your success? And maybe it explains some of your challenges. You might be like, hey, I figured it out. We got bells going off right now. So now we got to think about the success path. Let's talk about where is your business right now, and then what do you need to do to get to the next level? Maybe you've thought about this. So here's where the success path comes in. And I've put this together after interviewing and coaching hundreds of construction business owners, ranging from part-timers and startups to $100 million a year CEOs. And I boiled it down to 5 stages. And here we go. There are 5 stages. 5 stages of a construction business. Stage 1, planning your launch. Stage 2, wearing your tools. Stage 3, managing your projects. Stage 4, building your systems. And stage 5 is building your business. So let me run through these really quickly, and I'm going to give you the 80-20 for each of these. So I want you to pay attention. And when we get to the stage that you're at, I want you to say, I'm at stage whatever it is, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, okay? So stage 1, planning your launch. You say things like, I'm planning to start a full-time business soon. And these are the things that you need to focus on. This is the 80 for the 20. You need to know your ideal customer avatar, what kind of work you're going to do, who these people are, and then you need to know, most importantly, you need to know how to generate leads. You need to have leads because nothing else matters. You could have the greatest LLC, the greatest articles of organization put together, the greatest business plan, but if you can't generate leads, you're going to be sitting on your hands and going back to work for somebody. So lead generation is huge. I'm a big fan of developing a referral partner network. That's one of the things that I teach. Actually, I'm going to show you how you can get the Contractor Sales Accelerator, which will show you how to build a referral partner network. Stage 2, wearing your tools. If you're at this stage, then you wear all the hats in your business and you spend most of your time in the field. You're in the office, you're in the field. Maybe you're not in the office at all. Maybe you're always in the field wearing your tools. And some of the things you need to be focused on, you got to have a sales plan and strategy. You need to learn how to sell on value and stop competing on price. You need to know how to create time. And at this point, the most important thing for you to make the jump is time, not time management, but time creation. You need to be able to create time. You got to put systems in place like Jeff did that will save, like it saved him 40% of his day. That's where a lot of people in stage 2 get stalled out, is they can't create time. They just don't have time to make the jump and do the things that they need to do. So stage 3 is I'm managing my projects. Maybe you have a field leader, you have a foreman or superintendent or multiple, and you spend a lot of your time in the office. If you're at stage 3, then you need to be focused on a few things like putting systems in place for financials and project management, scheduling, delegation, beginning to develop a training program for your people. And at this level, one of the most important things you need to be focused on is developing your skills at leadership and delegation. You will never make it to stage 4 and stage 5 if you can't delegate. Okay, this is where micromanagement and perfectionism and this kind of stuff stalls people out because they can't delegate. All right, is anybody at stage 3? Is this where you're at managing your projects and you want to make the jump to take off some of those hats? All right, so the next one is stage 4, building your systems. In this case, you would say, my team manages most of the business. I'm focused on building people and systems. At this stage, you're focused on building your team. You have a business development system. You have documented systems. You have systems where people, if somebody asks a question of how do we do this, you can send them somewhere and they can answer their question. And you have a plan to get to stage 5. Now, what's really important at this stage is your ability to recruit, attract, grow, and lead people. That is an absolute superpower because you're never going to be able to get to stage 5 if you can't do those things. So here's what stage 5 looks like. This is like the promised land. My business runs without me day to day. Let me just pause right there. How does that sound to you? My business runs without me day to day. I'm either focused on scaling the business or something else. Maybe it's starting another business. Maybe it's spending more time on a charitable cause, doing mission trips, whatever it might be. But at this stage, you have key people in all positions. You have fully built out systems. You have a good reporting system, and you're operating like a CEO, and you have a clear vision for what's next. So this is where a lot of people want to be. You may be wondering, what does a stage 5 business look like? Is this a unicorn? Well, 2 words. Brian King. I interviewed him on my podcast, and here's what Brian King, this is what a stage 5 business looks like. Since founding his company in 2004, Brian has successfully grown it to achieve $130 million in revenue, and that was in 2017. It was voted one of the best places to work in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he was selected as one of the most admired CEOs in 2018. Now he owns multiple companies. He writes and he speaks to construction professionals all over the country. That's what a stage 5 business looks like. But everybody's at their own place. So my question is for you, what's the next stage for you? Where would you like to be? If you're at a stage 2, do you want to be at a stage 3? There's nothing that says you have to land at a stage 5. Some people may just be happy at stage 2 forever, or stage 3, stage 4, whatever the case may be. So does that help, seeing that success path, seeing the different stages, and then what you need to be focused on to get to the next level? Hopefully that provides some clarity. Now, there's some crazy people out there who do ice climbing. I'm in Kentucky, so I'm kind of in the South, and we don't do that sort of thing. But I heard somebody ask a well-known ice climber once, like, dude, what's your strategy? Do you map it all out before you start climbing? And this ice climber said, once you start climbing, you only need to know 2 things. Number 1, you're going to make it to the top. And then number 2, you need to know your next move. So you need to know your destination, where you're going to end up, and you need to know your next move. That's it. He did not know every little move to make. He didn't have it all mapped out before he got started. And it's really the same way in business. You just need to know where you want to end up, your vision, right? And then you need to know the next move. Focusing on something 3 or 4 moves away just leads to overwhelm and paralysis of analysis. So I'm telling you, that's why it's so important to know your why, know your vision. Where do you want to end up? What does the top of the ice wall look like for you? What's the destination? And then you just need to know the next move, dude. You just need to know the next move you're going to make. Don't get so worried looking 6-7 months or 6 or 7 moves down the road. So quick review. So far, we've talked about the root cause analysis, how to get to the root cause of the problem. Next, we talked about how to map out a process, some of the keys to doing that. We talked about the success path and the 80-20 principle. We talked about different stages of the business, what you need to be focused on at each one. Hopefully that gave you some clarity to see where you're at and where you want to go. Let me ask you a few questions. See if any of these questions resonate with you. Do you ever feel trapped or handcuffed by your business and you don't see a way out? Do you have a vision for your business, but maybe you have a vision, but you just can't seem to get there, or you don't know how to? Maybe you can see it, but you just can't seem to get there. Are you working lots of hours, but maybe you don't have much to show for it, whether that's in the way of progress or money in the bank? You're just working a lot. Maybe you just feel like you're trading time for money. What if you lose employees because of the chaos? Or what if you lose employees because of you? How much money are you leaving on the table every month because of the inefficiency in your company? The lost time, the rework, all the chaos. How much money are you losing on the table? Have you ever looked at another contractor in your town and your business and wondered why they're further along than you are? And what are they doing that you're not? Think about this. What if you're not able to get this chaos in your business under control? Are you interested in putting up with it for another year or another 5 years? I mean, think about it. Does another 5 years of the same thing interest you? Or are you going to be like Thomas Andrews, who was like ready to walk away? And what if you work for years on this business and it just doesn't work out? I had a construction business. It was my dream, and I screwed it up and I had to shut it down and walk away from it. If this thing doesn't work out, who will you feel like you've let down? What would that do for your confidence to have to go to work for somebody else? Have you ever wondered, am I even doing the right thing? Do you have the right strategy? Are you going in the right direction? Do you even know where you're going? And is the business taking time and energy away from your family instead of supporting the lifestyle you want? Here's one that people tell me. They say, I know what I need to do, but I just can't seem to do it. More importantly, I'm going to show you how you can get where you want to be with a lot less stress and aggravation. I'm going to tell you about this framework that's behind the Construction Business Accelerator. I'm going to tell you about that in just a few minutes and how you can get in on some of these. I've got some bonuses I want to get in your hands and show you how you can put these things into place. But let's take a step back. So in order to put systems in place and have a business that works for you, you got to understand where you're coming from. So what is it about your current situation that you're frustrated about? Think about that for a minute. What is it that's got you frustrated? Is it cash flow? Is there just too much chaos? Not enough people? Lack of growth? And more importantly, probably is this: why haven't you made the progress you know you're capable of? If you're frustrated, that means you can see something, but you haven't achieved it yet, right? Why is that? So here's a fact. Old habits stop people from getting what they want more than anything else. This is certainly true in my life. Think about that. Old habits stop people from getting what they want more than anything else. They keep you stuck. And these old habits happen on a subconscious level. And let's face it, dealing with leading and growing a construction business is tough. A lot of challenges, but worse are the negative thoughts and doubts that creep in. And if you've ever asked yourself, what if I make a mistake and let everybody down? What if I let my family down? What if I let my people down? Then that's totally normal. That is totally normal. To be honest, a lot of successful construction business owners have had these very thoughts. I've interviewed and coached hundreds of them, And a lot of them, when they're really honest, they tell me what's really going on. They tell me what keeps them up at night. They say things like, here's what I'm concerned about. What if I don't have what it takes? What if I'm doing the wrong thing? What if I can't figure this out? Here's one that I've heard a lot. Am I the only one who's dealing with these issues? Am I the only one who can't seem to crack this nut? My employees and their families are depending on me to do the right thing. What will my customers and suppliers and subs and my people say if I can't figure this out? What if I fail? I worried about a lot of those things. Have you thought about that? Does that kind of stuff bother you as well? So then I realized a couple of things that really helped me. I needed to do two things. One, I needed to make a decision. Two, I needed to take action. I realized that somebody was going to determine my success. Customers, suppliers, competition, politicians, people down the street. And I decided, you know what? It might as well be me. I might as well be the one who decides how successful I'm going to be. So I decided to stop questioning, stop complaining, stop doubting, and just make a decision of who I was going to be, what I was going to have, and what I was going to do. And I realized that if I wanted different results, I was going to have to take some different actions. So I started taking action. And my advice is for you to do the same. Decide what you want to have, who you want to be, and then take action. So let's talk about facts. All right. Every year, there are people just like you who are successfully learning to systematize their business and grow a construction business in a way that supports their lifestyle. And the reality is it's easier than it ever has been because of information and technology. Now, I didn't say it was easy because remember, old habits aren't easy to change, but with what's available to us right now, it's the best time ever to grow a business. So you can systematize your business so it works for you. So think about this. What does your ideal lifestyle look like? I said that's one of the most important questions. What does your ideal lifestyle look like? Think about that for a minute. How much money would you make? What would you do with your free time? What kind of hobbies would you have? Where would you go on vacation? Let's say you could travel 1 week a quarter. Take 4 one-week vacations a year. Where would you go? How often would you travel? Maybe you would travel more. What causes would you support? Would you give to your church, charities, nonprofits, something to do with the industry? What would you spend your time? What other businesses would you start? Would you get into real estate developments? Would you start investing in other companies? What would that ideal lifestyle look like? And then think about this. Think about having a community of other construction business owners just like you who are on the same journey, all committed to creating a business that supports their ideal lifestyle. Have you ever felt like these guys? Have you ever felt like you're stranded on an island, nobody to talk to, nobody that understands what you're dealing with? The only people who understand what you're dealing with are your competitors. That's what a lot of people tell me. So that's why this opportunity that we have today, the Construction Business Accelerator, that's why I'm really passionate about it. That's why I'm so passionate about serving construction entrepreneurs like yourself. And that's why I created the Construction Business Accelerator. It's why I started the podcast back in 2014, and I needed to serve people better. So that's why I created the Construction Business Accelerator. That's why I do these live events. So if you're working on the job site every day, wearing your tools, or if you're working in the business more than you want to, or if you're planning your launch, then, and you want to know where to start so you don't waste years, then the Construction Business Accelerator can help you, regardless of where you're at. So the Construction Business Accelerator was specifically designed for construction business owners. And it's structured to break this down into actionable, bite-sized chunks and to be delivered in a way that helps you get wins while you're keeping up with everything else you have going. So here's what you're going to get out of your membership when you sign up for the Construction Business Accelerator. This is what's in it for you. Peace of mind. Knowing that you're using strategies and systems that have been proven and tested by other contractors. You're not having to spend a lot of time creating something and hope it works. You're going to have less stress and frustration because you won't have to figure it all out yourself by trial and error. You're also going to have accountability to maintain forward motion on the things that you know you need to do. Accountability. You're going to have more time to operate strategically on your business. One of my favorite questions is, what would you do if you had 4 hours a week to do something strategic? How much more money, how much more business, how many more relationships would you have if you just had more time? And then you'll be part of a community of other construction business owners just like you. And you'll immediately start moving toward a business that's going to support your ideal lifestyle. So here's a quick overview of just some of what you're going to learn in the Construction Business Accelerator. It's going to be delivered in such a way that's not overwhelming. I'll talk about that in just a minute. How to systematize every part of your business so it works for you. How to sell on value so you can build a healthy backlog of high margin work. How to delegate better so you can get more work done while doing less. You're going to get proven strategies for attracting, recruiting, hiring, and maintaining a high-performance team, project management, secrets, and hacks to eliminate cost and schedule overruns. I've managed somewhere north of $300 million worth of projects. I picked up a few things that'll help you out. How to maximize the productivity and profitability of your crew so they make you more money. How to create time, not just manage it. Maybe most importantly, how to upgrade your mindset so you get out of your own way. Now, these are all things that I share with my one-on-one coaching clients, but I've spent the last several months putting this program together to make it available to you at a fraction of the cost. So as a member of the Construction Business Accelerator, you'll get access to the private online members area where you'll have access to the bonuses you're going to get, which I'll tell you about in just a minute. You'll also get the link to join the private online community only for Construction Business Accelerator members, where you'll be able to ask questions and bounce ideas off other people. This will also provide the accountability, some of the accountability that some people need. When you see other people making progress and getting wins, it's going to encourage you and inspire you to take action too. You're also going to get monthly resources. This stuff is going to be sent to you monthly. So going forward, here's what you're going to get every month that you are a member of the Construction Business Accelerator. Every month, there's going to be a theme. Leadership, selling, creating time, growing your team, managing clients, finance and accounting are just a few of the themes that I've got mapped out. You're going to get one masterclass video a month where I'll go deep on one topic for 30 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour. For some topics, I'll bring in an expert guest and I'll interview them too. You'll be able to watch the video, download the audio, read the transcript. There will be execution plans and templates. You can consume that content however it works best for you. There's also going to be one shorter live online training that goes along with the theme each month with a live Q&A session where you can get your questions answered. That's the training brief. Probably not a great name. Sounds like underwear, but regardless, that's what I'm calling it right now. There's also going to be that Q&A session that goes along with the training brief where you can get your questions answered. All the videos will be recorded, available to you in the members area. As long as you're a member, you can watch it, access it whenever you want. It's like Netflix for construction business owners. You'll also get early bird notifications and discounted access to my live advance events that I plan to have quarterly. The next one's coming up October 17th and 18th in Lexington, Kentucky. You need to be there. These are live meetups where you can get away from your business for a couple of days and spend time working on your business with other members. Frankly, the best thing about it is the relationships that you're going to develop. That's just bottom line. So for the best results, I see members dedicate about an hour a week. No more than that. I don't want to overload you. I don't want to overwhelm you, but you need to be able to commit about an hour a week to go through the material. Of course, the time that it takes depends on ability and experience. And the goal here is to deliver content that you need in a way that's not overwhelming and will get you wins, right? That's what you want, wins, without being overwhelmed. And if you're like a lot of members, you'll find that the content is great, but the accountability and the focus that comes from going through this with a group is surprisingly valuable. So you got to know this. The people who get the biggest benefit from the Construction Business Accelerator are, here's what I found. People, they get results, they're fed up with their current situation. They're willing to put in the time, and they're willing to implement what they learn. People like Matt and Katiana, who learned how to sell on value, they increased their price, and they said, we're finally paying ourselves what we deserve. Now they're paying themselves a consistent salary. Katiana quit her job, works in the business full-time, running operations for the company. Or Thomas Andrews, like we talked about earlier. After joining the Construction Business Accelerator, he went from interviewing for jobs because he hated his business, and not too long after that, well, since then, he has negotiated a deal with one of the biggest home builders in Oklahoma. Now he's putting systems in place that will support doubling his company's size. Or Neil Sundrish, a commercial construction management firm owner in Western Canada, who learned one strategy that I teach, and he 10x'd his fees for an entire year from that one strategy. And he did it all in the first week. Or maybe you're like Ryan Hammers and Justin McCullers, who thought they needed to hire 2 more salespeople. We talked about that. Thought they needed more salespeople, but they didn't. They just needed a better system. They needed to qualify their leads better. So if you see yourself in any of those stories I just shared, and you want to once and for all have a business that works for you, then the Construction Business Accelerator is for you. But I'll tell you, before we go any further, it's not for everybody, right? There are some people who won't do well with this. They just won't get results. It's not for anyone who just wants to kind of check things out or just try it. And you can't kind of systematize your construction business, okay? You can't kind of change your business, just like you wouldn't want a pilot who kind of flies a plane, or a concrete guy who kind of finishes concrete. You don't want that. This is for people who are committed to doing what it takes to systematize their business. If the intention, the attitude's not there, then it's just not going to work. And we're better off not wasting each other's times. So how else are you going to be supported through this? Well, I've just added some brand new extras, which are designed to make it even easier for you to get results. Now, I'm all about helping construction businesses, owners, create a business that works for you. I've seen where people get stuck. So I've specifically developed these bonuses to help you get through these roadblocks. So the first thing is the Revenue Maximizer. If you're struggling with cash flow problems, or you don't feel like you're in the driver's seat of your business, this is going to give you the tools and the mindset to get there. It is the embodiment of a right to left operation. This is a game changer. This is what changed Thomas's mindset. You'll get access to the Revenue Maximizer as soon as you complete your registration. By itself, I mean, people have paid $2,000, literally, and this is not BS. People have paid $2,000 for the Revenue Maximizer. It's that valuable. You're going to get it as a bonus. Next, you're going to get the Contractor Sales Accelerator. Have you ever wondered how some people sell at higher prices? How do they keep their backlog full? What's the psychology of selling? Is there psychology of selling that you're missing out on? You'll also want to be sure and watch the modules on some modules on Jedi level negotiation tactics, and also how to upsell. Very powerful. You may be leaving a lot of money on the table by not upselling. You're going to get that after you register. The Sales Accelerator is valued at about $3,000. And finally, you're going to get the Cash Flow Solution, where you're going to learn about the real root causes behind your cash flow troubles and how you can get to a point where you actually like to look at your bank account instead of dreading it. So that Cash Flow Solution is worth about $1,000. These are strategies I developed when I pulled a business out of cash flow crunch, and I can tell you these strategies were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So Revenue Maximizer, $2,000, Contractor Sales Accelerator, $3,000, Cash Flow Solution, $1,000. It's over $6,000 of bonuses. And they were designed with you in mind, and they are immediately available to you inside the members area. So here's my guarantee. I have intentionally included a 100% money back guarantee. This program has worked for a number of people, and I know it's going to work for you too. I know there's a lot of people out there selling snake oil to business owners. So you want to carefully choose who you learn from. That's why I've included a guarantee. You join the Construction Business Accelerator. And if it's not everything that I say it is, and you don't feel like I've delivered, then email me and ask for a refund of the first 21 days. All right. First 21 days, you get it in there for 21 days, and you're like, Todd, dude, it's just not there. You send me an email, I'll send you your money back. Okay. No questions asked. So by now you've seen that the Construction Business Accelerator gets results for real construction business owners, and it'll save you time. But you do have some alternatives. So let's look at a couple of alternatives. All right. What would it cost if you were to try to learn this stuff by yourself? Maybe you could join some free Facebook groups and forums, maybe wade through all the BS and the negativity. I'm in some of these groups, and I've not been impressed, quite frankly. You could also be like a guy that I talked to not too long ago. He borrowed a bunch of money to go to a 2-day business seminar from a big name guy. And he said he was in a room with a bunch of guys dressed up in suits. It wasn't really talking about construction. And then he got home and he had nothing to show for it. And there was no follow-up. So he dropped a bunch of money, borrowed a bunch of money, got back and just went back to real life. And none of that ever showed up. Or you could join like a Vistage group for CEOs. And I did a quick search. You have to pay about $2,000 up front and over $1,000 a month. And then you spend 1 day a month in meetings. You have to travel, spend an entire day a month in meetings, which nothing against it. I've heard really good things about these Vistage groups, but it's a big investment of time and money. Or you could hire a business coach to work with you one-on-one. Now, maybe they know construction, maybe not. A quick Google search shows that the average cost is somewhere around $500 an hour. And worst, what would it cost you if you didn't do anything? I call it the COI. There is the cost of inaction. If you stayed stuck in your current situation, how much is that going to cost you? Are you working too much, not seeing results, feeling handcuffed, feeling hopeless? That's the cost of inaction. So whether you do anything or not, there's a cost. There's a cost, there's an investment to make a change, or there's the cost of inaction. But there's another way. When you add up all the hours that you'd spend trying to do it alone, not to mention the frustration of not getting where you want, well, frankly, you deserve to take the easiest, fastest route so you can finally have the business that works for you, right? So you may be wondering, all right, Todd, how much is this Construction Business Accelerator program going to cost? I'm going to show you. Here's how you get it. The Construction Business Accelerator, the investments, you can get in right now for only $49 a month. Not $5,000 for a 2-day seminar, not $1,000 a month, not $500 an hour, $49 a month. Or if you want to take a discount, you can take the annual option and get an entire year membership for $490. Think about that. You can get an entire year's worth of masterclass training, accountability, have access to a community of other business owners just like you for less than what the average cost of 1 hour of coaching is. So, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I have charged a lot more for this in the past. I am very hesitant to make it this cheap, but I want to help as many people as I possibly can. So I hope you can see I'm trying to make this an absolute no-brainer for you. So $49 a month, or if you want to take the annual option, it's only $490 a year. And you can go right now. The doors are open. I just opened registration just before this webinar. You can go to constructionbusinessaccelerator.com/go. and everything should be there. And you can go grab that. I'll tell you, once you register for the Construction Business Accelerator membership, there's an option to upgrade to a peer group. And when you upgrade to a peer group, you'll be put into a group with a handful of other construction business owners that will be strategically selected to be like you, but not competitors, not somebody that works around you, and you have the opportunity to upgrade your membership. As if this is not enough, you can also be put into a peer group, and in that peer group, you're going to have a monthly call with your group. I'm going to lead that call. I'll facilitate that call. It's a small group, and you will be in the same group and work together to get a little more accountability, be able to share resources, get some good peer pressure working for you. So here's the deal. Registration closes soon. I just opened it up. I'm going to open it up for a few days. There's a deadline, and the deadline is August 15th, all right? 11 p.m. Eastern time, August 15th, registration closes, okay? So I do this so we can cater to all the new members coming through. It's kind of like a college class. Once the registration period is complete, everybody begins the class together. We're all going through the same content once a month. Like I said, we'll have a theme, we'll have live trainings. Everybody goes through it together. If it was open all the time, it would get confusing and complicated. So that's why I'm doing it this way. So as you look to make a decision, just notice if you're feeling overwhelmed with trying to make the jump from the field to the office, if you're at that stage, or you're struggling to figure out how to make your business work for you, that's normal. For most of us, the biggest challenge is trying to manage all of this, all these changes on top of the other responsibilities that we have. Life is an ongoing competition for your time and attention. And if you're like most people, it's a competition that you rarely win. But it doesn't have to be that way. By making your goals a priority and having what you need to make them a reality, you can interrupt that pattern and get where you want to be. So ask yourself this: what's more important in your life right now? What do you want to achieve in the months ahead? Knowing how to put systems in place and turn your business into one that works for you is going to give you what you're after: more time and more freedom. How long have you been after this? How long have you wanted to systematize your business? And how many times have you pushed it back to the back burner? So you've got this opportunity to do something about it right now. Either way is a decision. Either decide to stay with what you've got, or decide to put up $49 a month. Think about that, $49 a month. We compared it to what it could cost, but think about it. It's about $1.50 a day. You're probably wasting more gas than $1.50 a day. About the cost of a cup of coffee. Like I said, I'm trying to make this an absolute no-brainer. So I would invite you to join me and register for the Construction Business Accelerator. Click the button. Well, there's not a button on this page, but go to the link, constructionbusinessaccelerator.com/go. Go there, sign up, have your spot. You'll immediately be taken to the members area once you get through the registration, and you'll have access to all of those bonuses worth about $6,000. So I can't wait to help you have a systematized business that works for you. So I hope to see you on the inside. All right, if you want to see all of the details about the Construction Business Accelerator, see what's in it for you, how it's going to help you, then go to constructionbusinessaccelerator.com/start, or send a text to 859-667-2015. Put 3 letters in there, CBA, and I'll send you the link. If you have questions about it, then just let me know. I have questions about the CBA. I'll get in touch with you. I'll answer your questions, but I want to make sure, do everything I can to get you into the Construction Business Accelerator before enrollment closes on August 15th at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. The doors are going to close, and we're going to all go through it together. And I don't know when the doors are going to open again. So Go to constructionbusinessaccelerator.com/start to check it out and grab your spot in the Construction Business Accelerator program so you won't be left behind.